My name is Carolyn Fancher, and I'm 28. If you'd told me a year ago that my family would start falling apart because my older sister couldn't stand to see someone else happy, I would have laughed. Not because I trusted her, but because I trusted the myth we'd all been raised on. The myth that Callie Fancher, my older sister, was untouchable. The golden child, the one who did everything right. And the rest of us? We were just background noise. I'm sitting alone in my apartment now, replaying everything like a film I can't pause. The silence feels heavier than any argument we've ever had. And the truth is, this didn't begin at a family dinner. It started with a wedding that never happened. My younger brother Logan was supposed to marry Avery. Logan is the most sincere person I know, the kind of man who double-checks that everyone else has eaten before he sits down. He's gentle, loyal, and painfully trusting. When he proposed to Avery, we were all thrilled. She seemed perfect for him. Sharp, warm, funny, in a way that made Logan relax instead of perform. They were the kind of couple you assume will make it. One week, they were choosing flowers and finalizing the guest list. The next week, Avery called everything off. No screaming, no explanation. Just one sentence that made no sense. "I can't do this." That was all Logan got. He showed up at my door that night looking hollowed out. His eyes were swollen, his face pale, like someone had scooped the color out of him. "She left," he said quietly. I pulled him into a hug before he could finish the sentence. At first, I told myself it was cold feet. Weddings are pressure cookers. People panic. People run. That explanation was easier than the truth. 3 days later, our mom Linda invited everyone over for a family BBQ. "Logan needs us," she said. "Let's just spend time together." I went because I wanted to see Logan. I hadn't heard from him since that night at my apartment. Riley, my younger sister, the one who has never been afraid to speak her mind, came for the same reason. Then they arrived. Callie walked into the backyard first, composed, confident, flawless as always. And beside her was Avery, holding Callie's hand. The entire yard went silent, like the world itself had taken a sharp breath. I remember the exact second my stomach dropped. I looked from Avery to Callie, my brain refusing to catch up with my eyes. "What the hell is this?" I asked, my voice louder than I meant it to be. Callie didn't hesitate, didn't flinch, didn't look guilty. "Avery and I are together now," she said casually, like she was announcing a new job. Riley dropped the pitcher of lemonade she was holding. Glass shattered across the patio. Nobody moved. I glanced at my mother, waiting for shock, for outrage. Instead, her expression was measured, not surprised. That was the first warning sign. Avery wouldn't look at me. Her face was tight with guilt, but her eyes stayed glued to the grass. Callie, on the other hand, wore that calm, superior expression I'd hated since childhood. "It's complicated," she said, "but everyone will be better off in the end." "For everyone?" I snapped. "What about Logan? You just took his fiancé." The word took made Avery wince. Callie didn't even pause. "It wasn't planned," she said. "Things just happened." Things just happened. Like betrayal was accidental. Logan wasn't there, thank God, but the damage was already done. Later that night, I called him. "Do you know about Avery and Callie?" I asked. Silence. Then softly, "No." When I told him, he didn't cry. He just exhaled, like the last piece of him that believed in fairness had finally broken. "Of course it's Callie," he said quietly. "It's always Callie." Riley cut off contact with Callie immediately. I tried confronting her once more, but she brushed me off, saying I was overreacting. A few days later, Mom called me. "Carolyn, we need to talk," she said calmly. "About Callie and Avery?" I asked. "This weekend we're having dinner," she replied. "You and Riley should come. It's time to move past this." Move past it. Logan was shattered, and my mother wanted us to pretend everything was fine. I went anyway, not for Mom, not for Callie, for Logan. When I arrived at my parents' house, Riley was already on the porch, arms crossed. "This is going to be a disaster," she muttered. Inside, the dining room was immaculate. Callie sat at the table smiling. Avery sat beside her like she belonged there. Mom stood at the head of the table, cheerful, like she was hosting a holiday. "Come sit," she said. "We're going to have a nice family dinner." The air felt suffocating. I asked, "Where's Logan?" "He didn't come," Riley answered flatly. Callie buttered a roll like nothing was wrong. "So you're just okay with this?" I asked her. "What do you mean?" Callie replied calmly. "You took Logan's fiancé," I said. "You were supposed to protect him." "It wasn't planned," she repeated. "It just happened." "You don't happen to date your brother's fiancé?" Riley snapped. Avery stayed silent, staring at her plate. "We don't need your approval," Callie said. "You couldn't even tell Logan yourself," I shot back. "That's enough," Mom snapped. We're not doing this. Then maybe Callie shouldn't have done this, Riley said. Mom took a breath. People deserve happiness, even when they make mistakes. I stared at her. So you're okay with what she did to Logan? Life is complicated, Mom said gently. Riley slammed her fist on the table. Logan is miserable. Callie stood up. I'm done with this. Sit down, I said sharply. Avery finally spoke, her voice shaking. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Then why did it? Riley demanded. Avery swallowed. Callie and I started talking months ago. She told me things about Logan, things that made me doubt him. What things? I asked. She said he didn't really love me, that he was settling. Everything clicked. This wasn't an accident. It was manipulation. I stood up. We're telling Logan. I walked out. Riley followed. Outside, Riley exhaled hard. She's not even sorry. I didn't respond. Because I already knew this was only the beginning. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the same image. Callie's hand resting on Avery's chair like she owned the space. Like she owned the damage. Like Logan's pain was just background noise to her happiness. Riley didn't sleep either. She texted me at 2:17 a.m. Riley, we can't let this die at dinner. Me, I know. Riley, Mom's pretending. Me, she always does. By morning, the decision had already been made. We weren't going to wait for another family meeting. We weren't going to be invited, silenced, and dismissed again. We were going to confront Callie directly. Riley and I drove to my parents' house just after 10. The sky was overcast, heavy and gray, like it knew what was coming. When Mom opened the door, she looked tired. Not guilty, not angry, just worn down in that way people get when they're bracing for a storm they refuse to acknowledge. Oh, she said, forcing a smile. Carolyn, Riley, I wasn't expecting... We need to talk to Callie, I said, already stepping inside. Mom sighed and shut the door behind us. This again? Can't you just let things cool down? No, Riley said flatly. We can't. Mom hesitated, then nodded toward the stairs. She's upstairs. Perfect. As we climbed, I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. I wasn't angry anymore, not the hot kind. This was colder, sharper, the kind of clarity that comes when you finally stop hoping someone will change. Callie's bedroom door was half open. She was sitting on the bed with her laptop open, perfectly composed, like she'd just stepped out of a productivity ad. She looked up and smirked. To what do I owe this honor? She asked. Another lecture? We're here for the truth, I said. Not your version of it. She closed the laptop slowly, deliberately. I've already explained everything. Riley crossed her arms. No, you lied. Avery told us you'd been in her head for months. For the briefest second, Callie's expression flickered. Then it smoothed right back out. So, she said, relationships fail all the time. Logan couldn't keep her. That's not my fault. Something inside me snapped. You don't even sound sorry, I said quietly. Callie shrugged. Why would I be? Logan was never right for her. I treated her better. You took her, Riley shouted. Callie stood up, her voice turning icy. Watch your tone. No, I said, stepping closer. You don't get to control this anymore. I could feel years of swallowed resentment rising. Birthdays where Callie was praised and we were overlooked. Mistakes she made that were excused. Achievements we earned that were ignored. You've been doing this for years, I said. Undermining Logan. Undermining all of us. You just finally went too far. Callie laughed, a sharp, humorless sound. Logan is weak, she said. He always has been. He lets people walk all over him. Before I could respond, Mom appeared in the doorway. What is going on in here? She demanded. Riley turned to her instantly. Ask your favorite child. Mom's gaze shifted to Callie. Is it true? She asked slowly. Did you interfere in Logan's relationship? Callie's face softened immediately. That familiar, practiced innocence. Mom, of course not, she said gently. They're twisting things. Avery chose me, that's all. For one suspended moment, I thought, this is it. This is when Mom finally sees. She hesitated. I saw doubt flicker in her eyes. Then she folded. I'm sure there's been a misunderstanding, Mom said. Yelling won't fix anything. Riley laughed bitterly. Unbelievable. This family is already falling apart, I said quietly, and it's because you keep protecting her. I'm not choosing sides, Mom snapped. Riley's voice dropped. You already did. Silence filled the room. Callie looked annoyed now. Not smug, not calm. Annoyed. Like things weren't going according to script. You can't just cut me out of the family, she said, eyes narrowing. Watch us, Riley replied. I turned to Mom. Either you stop enabling her, or you lose the rest of us. Mom stared at me like I'd slapped her. You can't ask me to choose, she whispered. I'm not, I said. I'm telling you what happens next. We walked out without another word. For the first time, Callie didn't have a comeback. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty. The days that followed were quiet, eerily so. Mom texted, called, left messages about family, and talking this through. We didn't respond. Logan didn't argue when we told him what happened. It's about time, he said quietly. For the first time, the three of us were aligned. And that should have been the end of it. But Callie wasn't done yet. She never is. The call came on a Thursday night. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail. Normally I do, but something in my chest tightened before the third ring. The same instinct that used to tell me when Callie was about to explode or charm her way out of something. So I answered. Hello? There was a pause, breathing on the other end. Then a voice I barely recognized. Carolyn. My spine went rigid. What do you want, Callie? I asked, keeping my tone flat. Her voice wavered, not irritated, not smug. Desperate. I need to talk to you, she said quickly. Please, it's important. I almost laughed. Hard no. Carolyn, she whispered. Please. That word, please, stopped me cold. Callie didn't beg. She demanded. She manipulated. She won. Against my better judgment, I sighed. Not on the phone. Thank you, she breathed out immediately. Can we meet? The depot, in an hour. The depot was an old diner we used to go to as kids. I knew exactly why she chose it. Nostalgia was one of her favorite weapons. I told myself I was going for closure. The truth was, I wanted to see her crack. When I walked into the diner, I didn't recognize her at first. Callie sat hunched in a corner booth, dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a careless knot. Her phone lay face down on the table like it was something dangerous. She looked small. I slid into the seat across from her. Talk. She stared at the table, fingers tapping nervously. Then, barely above a whisper, she said, I messed up. I let out a short, humorless laugh. You don't say. No, she said quickly, panic bleeding into her voice. I messed up more than you think. That made my stomach twist. What are you talking about? I asked. She inhaled sharply. I'm in trouble, real trouble. What kind? Her hands shook as she ran them through her hair. Debt. A lot of it. People I shouldn't owe. The pieces started shifting. And Avery? I asked slowly. Callie flinched. I needed money, she admitted. I thought, if I got close to her, maybe she could help. Her family has money. I didn't mean for it to... Her voice broke. I didn't mean for her to leave Logan. I stared at her. You used her, I said quietly. I didn't plan for it to go that far, she said, tears finally spilling. But once it started, I couldn't stop it. It was worse than I'd imagined. This wasn't just jealousy, or ego, or control. It was desperation wrapped in entitlement. Does Mom know? I asked. Her head snapped up. No, and she can't. If she finds out... She deserves to, I said coldly. Callie reached across the table, her hand hovering like she was afraid to touch me. Please, Carolyn, I need your help. I don't have anyone else. I pulled my hand back. You don't get to say that, I said. Not after what you did to Logan. We're family, she whispered. I stood. Family doesn't do this, I said. You need help, but it won't come from me. Her face collapsed as I walked away. For the first time in my life, I felt nothing toward her. No anger, no hatred, just emptiness. That night, Riley and Logan came over to my place. When I told them everything, neither of them looked shocked. Figures, Logan said quietly. She's always been like this. She just finally ran out of places to land. Riley hesitated. Should we tell Mom? I shook my head. She's already chosen. And for once, I was done trying to change her mind. Weeks passed. Mom sent messages, calls, long texts about forgiveness and family unity. We didn't respond. Logan started eating again, sleeping, laughing, not the old way, but a new one, a steadier one. Riley stopped looking over her shoulder like she was waiting for the next blow. And me? For the first time in my life, I felt light. I spent years trying to keep this family intact, swallowing discomfort, excusing cruelty, calling it love. But some things don't need fixing. Some things need ending. As we sat together one night, just the three of us, Logan looked at Riley and me and asked softly, You think we'll be okay? I smiled, for real this time. Yeah, I said, we will. And I believed it.